Hello friends, in this session we'll talk about DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy. What is DPSP? If you analyze DPSP, definitely you will understand DPSP stands for Directive Principles of State Policy. First of all, we have to understand the background of this DPSP or Directive Principles of State Policy. Let's understand. The first thing is that in our constitution, we have first part, second part, third part, fourth part, up to 22 parts. Are you getting my point? Right? 22 parts. In the first part, we have already studied union, and you can say territory. That means talking about India, right? In the second part, we have studied we are the citizens, right? In the third part, we have studied fundamental rights. Fundamental rights, right? And this union and its territory coming 1 to 4 article, citizenship 5 to 11 article, fundamental rights from 12 to 35, and this fourth part deals with Directive Principles of State Policy. Let's understand this part. Here the DPSP is coming, right? So DPSP is coming in the fourth part of Indian Constitution. So you can say part 4 deals with DPSP. This is the point you have to remember for exam point of view. I hope you got this point. And this DPSP starts from Article 36 till 51. Right? So in this lesson, we'll be focusing only DPSP. The background of DPSP and whatever those important things related to DPSP and how the questions are asked from this chapter, we are going to discuss in coming few minutes. I hope you got this point, right? So first thing is that the source of DPSP we'll understand, and many scholars they have given statements regarding DPSP we'll study, and also we'll study the classification of DPSP like Socialistic Principles, Gandhian Principles and Liberal Intellectual Principles. All these things we are going to discuss. The first thing is that you have to remember important points. First thing is that DPSP comes under part 4. This is the point you have to remember. Second thing is that articles from 36 to 51. Well, and these are non-justiciable. I will explain this. Non-justiciable. What is meant by non-justiciable? You see, fundamental rights, we know, justiciable by nature. That means you can say, in case of violation of fundamental rights, you can go to Supreme Court under Article 32. Right? You can go to Supreme Court. And under Article 226, you will go to High Court in case of violation of any of the fundamental rights. But my dear, in case of violation of DPSP, we cannot move to court. That means this is non-justiciable. I hope this is clear, right? You see, what is the meaning of this DPSP? If you go to the background, Directive Principles of State Policy. The motto, you can say the motto or objective of DPSP. What is the objective or motto of DPSP? Very simple. When the government will formulate policies, or during the time of formulating policies, government should keep these good number of principles which are mentioned here, right? While formulating principles for formulas, or you can say best to understand policies. That means government must keep in mind those directive principles of state policy which are mentioned in the Constitution of India starting from Article 36 till 51 for the sake of citizens, because India is a welfare state. India is not police state. It is a welfare state for development of all, for raising the standard of living for all, for you can say all-round development. The government, while formulating policies, must keep these directive principles of state policy in mind. I hope you got this point. Anyway, let's move. So I have told the, you can say which part, DPSP fourth part, Articles 36 to 51, non-justiciable, that means we can't approach court if state is not implementing these principles. Are you getting my point? These are the moral principles, you can say. These are the moral principles given in the Constitution for the government. If you study, I will explain 36 and 37 article also. 36 is definition of state. So here state refers to government because state has number of elements: population, government, international recognition, number of things. So especially here Article 36, and also we have understanding of Article 12 that deals with state, means government. So while government will formulate policies, bureaucrats, policy makers, decision makers, they will formulate policies. They will keep all these types of directives which are mentioned in the Constitution for the welfare of India. Right? I hope this is clear. Now we'll talk the source of DPSP. Now we'll talk the source of DPSP. You see, first of all, we have to understand one point. If you talk about source, we have borrowed it from Irish Constitution. We have borrowed from Irish Constitution, and Irish Constitution is the Constitution of Ireland, and that Ireland has borrowed the concept from Spanish Constitution. Spanish Constitution, right? What I mean to say, this directive principles of state policy, right? We have borrowed from Ireland, Irish Constitution, Irish Constitution, and Irish Constitution or Ireland borrowed the idea of DPSP. Ireland borrowed from Spanish. And you have to remember one point here. Most of the, you can say this principle resemble or having similarity with Government of India Act 1935. Please remember another point. These are the very important points. It has resemblance, or you can say similarities with Government of India Act 1935. In Government of India Act 1935, you'll find number of instructions given for the state to run properly the administration. For the well governance, good governance of India, right? In 1935 Act, we have many instructions. Those instructions having similarity or familiarity with these articles, right? We'll understand step by step. I hope this is clear for all of you, right? Now we'll talk one important point. Who said what about DPSP? Important personalities we'll discuss. First thing is that Ambedkar said these are the noble features. Let's understand. Ambedkar said these are the noble features. Noble features. That means you can say these are the sacred, very beautiful, important features of Indian Constitution. Who said? Ambedkar said. I hope you got this point. Another point you can say Granville Austin, one British jurist said these are this DPSP is the conscience of Indian Constitution. Conscience of Indian Constitution. Conscience of Indian Constitution. I hope you got this point. Right? So Ambedkar said these are the novel features of Indian Constitution, and Granville Austin said conscience of Indian Constitution. This is the point you have to remember for exam point of view. I hope this is clear, right? Now we'll talk the classification. We'll discuss in details the classification of DPSP. You see, DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy or Directive Principles of State Policy, can be classified into three categories. Very simple. Here is the classification. Socialistic Principles. I hope this is clear. First classification. And then we have Gandhian Principles. What are those values given by Gandhi? We have respect, and constitutional framers, they have also gave their respect in this form. And last one is liberal intellectual principles, right? Let's understand each of them. Socialistic principles, very, very important. Socialistic principles, or you can say those articles related to socialistic principle, always talks about social welfare concept, right? And state has moral obligation to implement. Let's understand. Under Article 38, DPSP, it says there should be social order. Means peace, harmony must be there in the society. Right? I hope this is clear. I have written in a very shortcut way so that you can memorize, you can follow the Indian Constitution for better understanding. Article 39 says, in case of certain principles, right, those rights must be protected. Are you getting my point? And if you talk about Article 39A, this is very, very important. Free and you can say equal justice and free legal aid. State has responsibility to give justice to everybody. Right? Socio-economic, all types of justice must be given to citizens, and free legal aid. Please remember, this is free legal aid. Suppose a person, very poor person, and unable to fight the case in the court, then state has a responsibility to give free legal aid. And this is right to work. The workers must get their right, or you can say must get their work. Right? And Article 43 says wages, minimum wages for, you can say, laborers, workers in industries, in day laborers, you can find, right? And 43A, participation of workers in industrial management. Participation of workers means in the decision making process, in the, you can say, management affairs, the workers must be given enough opportunity to work, to keep their words, and to discuss the problems, any kind of issues open. This is the point you have to. And 47 says, it is the duty of state, to raise the standard of living and nutrition level, so that citizens can maintain a happy, healthy, wealthy life. I hope these principles or these articles related to the first part, socialistic principle, is clear. Please follow Indian Constitution, which is original. And here we are going to discuss the Gandhian principles. As I have told that constitutional framers, they have given enough weightage, respect, values towards the Gandhian principles, Gandhian ideologies, Gandhian themes, Gandhism. So here is the principle. Article 40 says that there should be village panchayat, and we know for many years, many decades, Panchayat Raj was not given constitutional status. However, this Article 40, which talks about the village panchayat, has got the constitutional status only in 1992. That means this village panchayat, we know in 1992 under 73rd and 74th Amendment Act, this got the constitutional status. Anyway, we will talk in Panchayat Raj, or you can say in those Panchayat Raj topic or local self topic. So this is the point you have to remember, village Panchayat. In every part of India, in every village of India, there should be organization of Panchayat Raj. Panchayat is very simple, Pancha plus Ayat. That means you can say group of people, 5 people in general. It is prevalent in India for 1,000 years. Since ancient times till today, we have Panchayat Raj, grassroots level democracy. Anyway, so for this moment, just remember Article 40 talks about the village Panchayat, organization of village Panchayat. I hope this is clear. And again, 43 living ways, you can see also here, right? This has similarity. Few articles related to socialistic Gandhi. There is common articles, so no need to take any kind of tension or dilemma. So 43 is living ways. State has responsibility, moral responsibility to provide wages to the laborers, workers. And 43b says cooperative societies must be established so that the common people, laymen can develop, can establish their startups, their daily livelihood, daily, you can say, basic needs, all those things they can fulfill. So anyway, you have to remember cooperative societies. And then 46, in educational institutions, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, they must be given enough opportunity for education. This is the point you have to remember. And 47, very simple, I have told, the state has responsibility to raise the standard of living, also the nutrition. Nutrition, also standard of living. I hope this is clear, right? The state has a responsibility to raise the standard of living of all citizens in India, right? And then 48, the state will give enough opportunity to promote agriculture and animal husbandry, like cattle, breed, all those types of things we know, right? And after that, you can say socialistic principle we have covered, second part we have covered, Gandhian principle. The last one is liberal intellectual principles. Article 44 says uniform civil code. If you talk about this, uniform civil code. What is uniform civil code? All laws must be equal for all. All Indians must have equal accessibility, equal law. And there should not be any kind of bias in terms of law. However, there are certain exceptions. Muslim law board is there, and certain other law boards are also there. But there is a provision that all India, all citizens in our country, in India, must have uniform civil code without any discrimination under Article 44 of Indian Constitution. And Article 45 says that children should get their education. What I mean to say, child care should be there, right? State has a responsibility to provide child care facilities, also education. This is the point you have to remember. And this was added in 42nd Amendment, 86th Amendment, 86th Amendment 2002. In 2002, what happened? This new article was added. Also 21A, the fundamental right to education, was also added by 86th Amendment 2002. This is the point you have to remember for exam point. Let me explain again. Actually, this 45, right? This 45 article was added 86 by 86th Amendment 2002. And also this amendment added 21A, right to education. Right to education as fundamental right. Are you getting my point? So you have to remember this is very, very important for exam point of view. I hope this is clear for all of you. Now we'll talk some important cases, but before that, let's understand few amendments which added which article. Are you getting my point? You just see here. The first thing is that we'll talk that 42nd Amendment added 39, 39A, 43A, 48A. So you just see 42nd Amendment. We'll talk 42nd Amendment added. You have to understand 39A, 39A and 43. 43A and 43A, 48A. This is very, very important. Please try to understand. Right? So 42nd Amendment added 39. You can say this one, right? This one, 39A, 43A and 48A. Right? Okay, anyway, 48A you have to remember, right? This is a point you have to remember for exam point of view. I hope this is clear. Now we'll talk 44. 44th Amendment, 42nd in the years 1976, 44, 1978. You have to remember, right? This is your Article 38. Article 38 was added. I hope this is clear. Now we will talk also other amendments, like you can say 86th Amendment, I have already told. 86th Amendment, 86th Amendment 2002, it added Article 45 in the DPSP, 45. Okay, well, this amendment I have already explained, and also Article 21A, which is right to education, which was added in fundamental right. And after that, 97th Amendment 2011. 97th Amendment 2011. This added one important article, 43B. 43B, you can see here 43B was added in 2011 under 97th Amendment. This is very, very important for exam point of view. I hope you got all these points. Right? Now we'll talk important cases. Please note down these important things. I hope you will get many things in exam. Right? You just check it. Right? Now we'll talk important cases. Now we'll talk important cases related to DPSP. Important cases. Two important cases you have to remember, right? And this is going to be very, very important for exam point of view. One case is Champakam Dorai Rajan case. Champakam Dorai Rajan case 1951. Why this is very, very important? Because you see, in case of fundamental rights, FR, right? And in case of DPSP, when there is conflict in between fundamental rights and DPSP, right? In this case, Supreme Court said that fundamental rights will prevail. Are you getting my point? In this case, Supreme Court gave judgment whenever there is conflict, dispute with respect to fundamental rights and DPSP, right? The former, this fundamental rights will prevail, will dominate. This is the point. Here, Supreme Court ruled that fundamental rights will be upheld. Means fundamental right will dominate. What? In case of you can say Goloknath case. In case of Goloknath case 1967, Supreme Court rejected the previous judgment and said that in case of conflict in between fundamental rights and DPSP, right, the Parliament has no power to amend the fundamental rights and DPSP. Are you getting my point? Let me clear. This is very, very important. In the Goloknath case, the Supreme Court ruled that Parliament cannot take away or abridge any fundamental rights. Are you getting my point? Here Supreme Court said Parliament cannot take away any fundamental right, with respect to, or you can say, to dominate DPSP. Try to understand. In the Goloknath case, Supreme Court said Parliament can take away any of the fundamental rights to implement, with respect to, or implement or dominate the DPSP. This is very, very important, right? And now the government reacted. Now what happened? The government reacted. So here the government reacted, and the 24th amendment came. 24th amendment came in 1971. This is going to be very, very important for exam point of view. Try to understand. Let me explain again. Right? We are studying the important cases related to DPSP. In the first case, Champakam Dorairajan case 1951, Supreme Court said in case of conflict in between fundamental rights and DPSP, former will prevail. That means fundamental rights will be there. Okay? Now everybody is happy. But what happened? In 1967, Goloknath case, Supreme Court reversed the judgment and said that Parliament can't take away any fundamental rights to establish, to prove the DPSP. Right? Now the government reacted. And 24th amendment came in 1971 and said, what the government said, you just see, try to understand. Government in, what happened? In 1971, right? In 1971, 24th amendment. We are talking about 24th amendment. Government amended Article 13, that is judicial review. This article was bone of contention. It was very, very problem for government, because anything passed by the Parliament, legislature, the Supreme Court, High Court will review it, judicial review. Anyway, so this was amended under this Constitutional Amendment Act, and also Article 368 was amended. It is the amendment procedure. This is amendment procedure or provision, you can say. Under Article 368 of Indian Constitution, there is a provision for amendment. So it was also amended. That means Supreme Court now became less powerful with respect to Parliament. Right? I hope this is clear about the directive principles of state policy, and I hope you have understood this and you have enjoyed this. Thank you very much. Wish you happy life.